inshallah. Yeah, that's very important, following the ways of the West. The reason why the vast majority of the Muslim community are here is because they will have seen some of the positive ways of the West, and this country will have appealed to them to become a new home. And maybe your father or your grandfather came from a different country to this part of the world, and the reason they came here is because they saw some aspects of good. So the point is, let's follow the ways of the West. Let's follow the ways of the West, especially if we're in the West, as long as the ways of the West are conducive to our identity as Muslims. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ, he would always praise elements and aspects of other people's culture. Some people nowadays, they think Islam has nothing to do with culture. Islam came to erase people's culture completely. That's not the way it works in Islam. When you study the books, you see these concepts of one of the legal maxims in fiqh is that the adat, the culture or the customs of a country, they rule. They rule in fiqh, in sharia. So all these people who are against sharia, you need to tell them, hold on. In the Netherlands, when we talk about sharia, sharia is based on the customs of the country. It's based on the customs of the people here. Unless there are contradictions with Islam, and those things we don't take. And the whole idea of Islam is to complement. It's to complement. So when you're a Muslim who comes here from Morocco, the ideal situation is that you take all the positive elements of Moroccan culture, and believe you me, there are some beautiful elements in Moroccan culture. Generosity, kindness. I'm not saying the Dutch aren't generous and kind, but for example, when you eat a meal, hospitality. Look at the difference between being invited to an average Dutch house for a meal, or being invited to a Dutch Moroccan's house for a meal. It's going to be a different experience completely. Everybody jumps in, a huge plate for everybody to share, and meal after meal after meal. And if you say no, you're made to feel guilty. If you say no, I'm full. No, they make you feel guilty. They make you feel bad. Whereas in some elements of culture, if you want more food, you feel bad. You feel bad. So the whole idea is to take the positive aspects of Moroccan culture, Turkish culture, and bring them in and mix them in with the positive aspects of Dutch culture. So it's not about turning away from the Netherlands. It's about bringing Islam and allowing Islam to be in the Netherlands in a way which is comfortable with the people of the Netherlands, in a way which is not against the commandments of Allah and the commandments of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is what Sheikh Abdullah Quilliam did back then. He was an English man. He was English to the core, not just because of his ethnicity, but because of the approach he took. The approach he took, he had respect. And a person who respects themselves will be respected by other people. Now this situation which you mentioned in Yemen, it depends which way we look at it. We can say that, look at the hypocrisy, that nobody sees a woman and then they're watching MTV upstairs. Or we can look at it at a light of positivity, that when the adhan was called, they did feel a sense of shame and they turned MTV off to listen to the adhan. This is idhma, this is giving idhma to the sha'air Allah. This is making the sha'air Allah, the symbols of Allah, great. And this is a sign of taqwa. I'm not saying MTV is a sign of taqwa, but I'm saying that they still have something within them, that when the adhan is called, they put it down. Many people today in our communities, they complain, astaghfirullah. Look at the mosques when it's Eid prayer, they're full. And when it's Fajr prayer, nobody turns up. Say Alhamdulillah. At least people have this attachment, even if it's just the day of Eid. Do you want people to be lost completely, like the Christian society in this community? Look at the Christian community. You have people who say, I'm a Christian, but I don't believe in God. Everywhere. Do you want Muslims to become like that and not pray Eid as well? Obviously we want them to pray Fajr and Jum'ah and all the other prayers. But the point is, sometimes it depends which angle you look at it. And sometimes when we look at things constantly from a negative perspective, we don't harm or hurt anybody except ourselves. And it can make us depressed, and it can make us down. And the eye of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَكَانَ sallallahu alaihi wasallam مُتَأَمِّلًا. He was always positive. He was always optimistic, and he would always hope for the best. So unless we are optimistic likewise and see the good in everything and have a good opinion, then the chances of developing as a community become less and less and less. What will end up is, as a community, we'll just be complainers. We'll just be destroyers, demolishers. We won't be able to be constructive and people who build something. So the attitude sometimes which we have, the way we look at things, we need to review this as well and bring it in line with the way the Prophet ﷺ. But in short, Islam did not come to destroy the culture of the Netherlands. In the same way that Islam did not destroy the culture of Indonesia. Islam adapted to the culture of Indonesia and beautified it. Islam adapted to the culture of Morocco, beautified it. Adapted to the culture of Saudi Arabia, beautified it. And we can see there's a huge cultural difference between Morocco and Turkey and Saudi Arabia and Algeria and all these other Muslim countries around the world. And the reason is because Islam respects the customs of the people of the land and encourages to take on these good customs and these good positive customs and adopt them to Islam, inshallah. So with that, we'd like to finish, and I'd like to invite the Imam, inshallah, to make a dua for us. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.